Fish Project is a collaborative initiative working to promote fisheries recovery in the Mesoamerican Reef region by advancing research, monitoring, community engagement, and protection of fish spawning aggregations, critical to the life cycle of commercially important fish species. Since its launch in 2019, the Marfish Project has been instrumental in advancing conservation efforts focused in three main components: knowledge and protection of the Cayman Crown reef in Belize and Guatemala, monitoring a network of Sentinel FSA sites, and fostering the social acceptability and support for the protection of FSA. These efforts contribute significantly to marine biodiversity conservation and sustainable fisheries management practices in the region. Supported by the French Global Environment Facility, the Summit Foundation, Oceans 5, and the Marisla Foundation, Marfish brings together key organizations from the region, including Comunidad y Biodiversidad, Coral Reef Alliance, Foundation for Eco-Development and Conservation, Healthy Reefs for Healthy People, Southern Environmental Association, and Toledo Institute for Development and Environment. Together, these partners have advanced our understanding of the Cayman Crown Reef and the dynamics of FSA and implemented conservation measures to protect these critical habitats.
So fish spawning aggregation sites are really important because they are the sites where the commercial fish, like the groupers, the snappers, and some other really important fish for reef health come together to spawn. So it's a really important part of their life cycle. And the fish tend to spawn in the same sites year after year during specific times of the year. So protecting these sites protects the next generation of fish that are going to help support our fisheries and provide livelihoods. We've been part of the project since it started, working to monitor the fish spawning aggregation sites on the Mexican side. So during the course of the Marfish project, I think there's been a big effort to bring together a lot of data that's traditionally been separated by being in different countries and different organizations. So bringing it all together to get a clearer picture has been very helpful. We know from historic reports there's been tens or hundreds of thousands of fish spawning at some of these sites, and now even a large aggregation tends to be in the thousands. So they've decreased a lot over the years. COBI worked very closely with fishing communities to design no-take zones that work for them. So we work very closely with different stakeholders, and COBI's role is very much a convener to bring everyone together to the table to discuss how best to solve these problems.
Coral has been working as part of the Marfish project since 2020, and the specific objectives we work with are: one, working with Sentinel sites. So we lead the work in Honduras with our partner Roatan Marine Park. And two, we also help with the objective of protecting the Cayman Crown Reef by working with livelihood diversification of fishers that harvest in the Cayman Crown Reef, but who are based in Honduras. So the most significant findings that we've had by monitoring FSAs in Honduras is that this is one of the very few times where a site has been validated scientifically. And we've seen significant changes in both abundance and in biomass. So we see that more and more fish are coming in, which is good, but the problem is that they're getting smaller each year. We're talking about a 30% reduction each year. So what we're seeing is that there are FSAs here, but we need to protect them as soon as possible because we don't want to lose them. The project has a huge positive impact on the region, starting by generating the protocol or publicizing the protocol that everybody can use. That way the data is comparable throughout the entire Mesoamerican Reef region. It has also generated data that was previously inexistent, and this information has been very useful for us to go back to all the shareholders, give them the information, and start trying to generate new science-based policies to really protect these FSAs.
An assessment of the legal status of 11 fishing associations was carried out, and 50 training workshops were held. We implemented 3 livelihood diversification projects focused on sustainable tourism with 3 different fishing associations.
In sistema arrecifal de Corona Caimán pues es uno de los arrecifes con mejor estado de salud en todo el arrecife mesoamericano. Cuando fue descubierto tenía un 60% de cobertura de coral vivo, lo cual es mayor a cualquier cobertura que haya en otro de los países del SAM. Como FUNDAECO hemos desarrollado distintos modelos de conservación y manejo, como son estrategias de control y vigilancia, mesas de gobernanza con autoridades y pescadores. Uno de los impactos más significativos que hemos tenido en estos años pues ha sido lograr reducir la conflictividad con el sector pesquero, y en este último año pues logramos la firma de 2 acuerdos de conservación. Otro impacto significativo que hemos tenido dentro del proyecto pues ha sido la creación del diagnóstico de la zona de veda de Corona Caimán y la zona marino-costera del refugio de vida silvestre Punta de Manabique, ya que pues ha servido como una base técnica científica para todas las discusiones que se han tenido a nivel de autoridades y Congreso para asegurar la protección de este sitio y la zonificación para su conservación a largo plazo.
So the Healthy Reef's role in this was really to help with the mapping of the Cayman Crown area and looking at the area in terms of biodiversity, helping to identify where might be the key areas that could be a spawning aggregation site. Then we also had the general work that was monitoring the health of the reef in the areas around these FSAs and throughout Cayman Crown. We want to know that the habitats around these spawning aggregation sites are being maintained so that you still have the coral species that form the framework that give these fish their home.
For monitoring the reef in Cayman Crown, we've been using a lot of technology. We've been tracking health of the reef using diagram methodologies, but we've also been applying a novel technology that's called photomosaics and photogrammetry. So basically it's taking a lot of pictures of the reef, stitching them together, and then we create a model of how the reef looks. And the monitoring of acoustics for fish spawning aggregations has also been one of the highlights of the project as well. One of the major findings was the high coral cover in some of the sites that we've been monitoring, really high coral cover of 77% in a specific reef. However, this has changed, and it has changed recently because we have a high impact of coral bleaching effect on the reef. This amount of high coral cover changed to 50.3% in 2023. And this is a trend also, well, not only in the Cayman Crown Reef, but also in the Mesoamerican Reef and the wider Caribbean as well. So when we know the state of the reef and how it has been changing, we can do more strategic and management interventions to improve the reef health.
So we have used the results of all this monitoring that we've done to help encourage the governments of the region to really go for full protection, where the reef can be in its natural state, replete with large fish that can reproduce and replenish those areas outside of the fully protected zones. From the data that we've looked at, the fish biomass, we can really see that it's that fully protected zone where there's absolutely no fishing allowed. That's where you get the biomass of these larger fish.
This project primarily focused only on one of our marine protected areas, which was Gladden Spit and Silk Keys Marine Reserve. And the reason for that is because Gladden Spit and Silk Keys Marine Reserve is famously known as a fish spawning aggregation site. This is where we do have the commercially important and heavily exploited grouper and snapper species. Two main objectives for this project was looking at us trying to standardize the techniques that we use within the region for monitoring the aggregations, as well as supporting and maintaining a coordinating monitoring program. So I think a major achievement of the project is being able to have a very good data set of over 20 years, that now we are in a position that we can look for a complete analysis of the data. And we are hopeful that the data analysis is something that we will be able to share with the fishermen in the area for them to be able to understand why we want to reduce the number of traditional fishermen that use the area, or for them to have a better understanding of maybe why they should not take out certain fishes of certain sizes, why they need to put back some, or it may even result, depending on what our data shows, about whether or not we determine if this zone would be better protected as a completely no-take zone.
So as part of the Marfish project, we have been engaged mostly in doing scientific research and trying to get the Cayman Crown area under full protective status, which in itself comprises an area of over 4,000 acres. So the Marfish project has assisted us in not only securing the protection of the area, given the development of a new SI that now considers the Cayman Crown area as Conservation Area Zone 4, which entitles it to several protections. And we are also working now to declare it a no-take zone, which we plan to have by the end of this year. Through the Marfish project, we have made a lot of advances as it relates to working with stakeholders and relevant authorities. What was happening before we actually started working in the Cayman Crown area was that we had a rampant or over-exploitation of the resources, and we weren't protecting the Cayman Crown Reef area as the viable fish pond and aggregation site that it actually is. Now, one of the major impacts of our work has been that the communities now are more educated. They're starting to appreciate and they're starting to realize the integral role that they play in protecting these vital resources for future generations. And that has become a reality because of our education and outreach strategies that we have been implementing through this project, not only in Belize, but also in Honduras and Guatemala.
The Marfish project has made significant progress in advancing its objectives to protect the Cayman Crown and fish-borne aggregation sites in the Mesoamerican Reef region. Guatemala established a 10-year closure through the Ministerial Agreement number 85/2020, and Belize designated an expansion of the Zapodilla Key Marine Reserve through the Statutory Instrument 108 of 2020. The project gathered valuable new data through benthic mapping of 4,300 square kilometers, including the Cayman Crown Reef that bridges the marine territories of Guatemala and Belize, the Zapodilla Key Marine Reserve, the Southern Barrier Reef Complex in Belize, and the Punta de Manabique Wildlife Refuge in Guatemala. Also, the project implemented ecological monitoring of megafauna and coral reef, coordinated surveillance patrols with authorities, and high-level political discussions supporting cohesive management. The project established a monitoring network of 11 FSA sites in the 4 MAR countries, standardized a regional FSA monitoring protocol, and developed a collaborative database platform. To foster the social acceptability and protection of FSAs, the project implemented 3 economic diversification strategies in 6 communities in the 3 countries that share the Gulf of Honduras, aiming to reduce fishing pressure. Alongside, it conducted environmental education and capacity building workshops to support fishing communities and authorities in the region. Public awareness, including media outreach, webinars, conferences, publications, and videos, also highlighted the importance of protecting FSAs on the Cayman Crown Reef.
Looking forward, sustained stakeholder collaboration, ongoing research, and dedicated conservation initiatives will continue to be essential to strengthen FSA protection in the Mesoamerican Reef.
The fish don't know which country they're in. We know that the fish can migrate hundreds of kilometers to spawning aggregation sites, so they're very easily crossing borders, and we do need to consider them as a Mesoamerican Reef stock, and try and have similar legislations across the countries, take similar actions, so we can conserve them as a region.
It's just been a really great partnership, getting everyone together and planning how to do more work. So we really hope there'll be a phase 2 so we can continue all of this collaboration.
Together, we can continue to protect this vital region and ensure its biodiversity and ecosystem services thrive for generations to come.